One-way smokes are one of the most useful tools to know and use in Valorant. When properly used, they give you full control of certain angles, either forcing defenders out of hiding or forcing attackers to choose between taking cover or dying. In today's video, we'll be covering all of Omen's most useful one-way smokes, providing tips on how to execute them and teach you how to play with them. We've chosen Omen for this video because his one-way smokes are the most versatile and easy to pull off, especially compared to Cypher or Viper. Because Omen's one-ways don't require a lineup, it's very easy to remember how to make these smokes without much practice. Furthermore, Omen is the least punishing character to miss a smoke on, as it's his innate active ability. The only difficulty with Omen smokes is with its targeting on small ledges. When aiming Omen smokes, pay attention to the arrow pointing down. It'll let you know if you've actually got the right spot. Be careful about placing smokes on the absolute edge of platforms. The arrow can be misleading in those cases. Once you've got the hang of tossing Omen smokes out, you should be able to easily execute all smokes shown in this guide. When you're hitting the A-site choke on Icebox from the ground, this smoke here blocks off defenders who are watching the main entrance if you approach from the left side of the choke, under A pipes. Defenders will either be pinned by the smoke or forced to rotate. If you do push up, be careful of this corner, which some enemies might hide in. This is another one-way smoke for hitting A-site on Icebox. You'll be approaching from the right side of the main A-site choke when you use this one, and there's a bonus of blocking off defenders posted on the high ground with this smoke as well. This smoke here goes on top of the double stacked boxes in the middle of A-site. A lot of defenders like using this for cover, as it gives a clear angle right down the main A-site choke. If you're defending A-site from a rush, this smoke will give you extra time to aim and kill attackers who are trying to push through the main choke point. Be very careful of enemies peeking from high angles though. This smoke won't protect you from them. You can also get counter-smoked easily. This is another defensive one-way smoke on Icebox's A-site. It's similar to the last one, but this time it's a one-way on the opposite side of A-site's primary choke point. It has the added bonus of blocking off the vision from A-belt as well. If you're holding B-site on Icebox, this defensive one-way smoke is probably one of the most useful ones you'll see in this guide. This smoke creates a one-way from two different angles, the obvious angle straight forward, and the angle being on top of the containers, overlooking the choke point. If you play your cards right, you should be able to solo hold B-site pushes using this smoke very easily. This one-way smoke is a little less useful than the previous one, but still has its uses. If attackers manage to get the primary choke and you're forced backwards, you can smoke off one of the lanes around B green to maintain a bit more control, either buying you time to reposition or launch a counterattack of your own. This is another really important one-way smoke on Icebox. If you're holding mid from Boiler, this smoke buys you extra time to aim and shoot attackers who are trying to rush out mid and take control of it. A very important thing to know about this smoke is to hold a loose angle. Attackers can rush by the smoke very quickly, and holding a loose angle will allow you to react to where they're positioned much quicker. This last one-way smoke on Icebox is a bit more situational. If enemies manage to get by and use B-tube for cover, this smoke pins them down. If they don't push out, you're able to easily spray them down and earn yourself a wallbang kill with a Vandal. If you're looking to stop an A rush on Ascent, this smoke can really mess attackers up. Make sure you aim for this corner here when you throw it out. If you shoot it too far, enemies can walk in easily. You can also aim for this corner, but it'll be less effective. If you're holding A-site from heaven, this smoke will help you against an A main push. You can do this from cover, though it'll be a little harder to be consistent. Aim in the middle of the wall, where your smoke will remain suspended mid-air. People who are pushing the entrance won't be able to see you until they push past the smoke, by which time you ought to be able to kill them. This is a trickier and high-risk one-way smoke. It requires you to shadow step on top of the boxes in the corner, and then you need to aim your smoke on top of a lamp behind the opposite wall. If people are pushing from tree room, you'll be able to see them coming and shut down the rush. This smoke is best for pushing onto A-site from tree room. If you think someone's hiding in this location here, you can smoke on top of the boxes they're using for cover, and they won't be able to see anyone pushing through unless they reposition themselves. This smoke is a little tricky. You want to get it on top of a lamp behind this wall. For this, it's easier to use the see-through walls mode. You'll have to fiddle around with your mouse movement a bit, but you want to adjust so that the arrow indicator appears within this box. For this smoke, you'd be attempting to take B site from B main. You'd use 2 smokes, one on top of the boxes on the far side of B site and one to block off the closed corridor. The one-way smoke will be on the far side where enemies won't be able to see you passing through. Be careful of spawn and market though, you'll need to clear those out while pushing. This is one of the easiest smokes on Ascent. Just make sure the indicator is on the corner, jutting out of the archway. This is a good smoke for stopping a B main push. This is the easiest and most useful smoke for defending A site from a mid push. It's also one of the most well known. You'd be standing in the middle of the site playing around the stacked boxes and no enemies can see you while they push through. Make sure you have someone watching showers though, as you could get flanked from there. For this smoke, the most important part is making sure you're hugging the wall behind you as you push through garden, or enemies will be able to spot your legs. It's not the most useful smoke, but if you're worried about someone standing in this area, it's a decent one to put out. Make sure you're standing on the platform by the shower's exit, or enemies will be able to see your legs. It's a pretty useful one to know if you're trying to hold the bomb site from enemies in the U-Haul area from showers. This is an easy smoke. Just get on top of the boxes at the short exit. Anyone pushing from there won't be able to see you. Be careful of getting pre-fired through the smoke though, since a lot of people know the angle quite well. Pretty much the same deal as the last smoke, but instead, you'd place the smoke on top of the boxes by the A long exit. Again, watch out for pre-fires. This is the exact same smoke as the A heaven to A short smoke earlier, but this time you'll be playing from the A site defense spawn entrance. And again, this is the exact same smoke as the heaven to long smoke, just you'll be playing from the spawn entrance. If you're pushing long from lobby, you can put a smoke on top of the boxes at the end of long. Any enemy hiding there won't be able to see you if you push up, and you'll force them out of hiding. This is probably best used with a teammate who can peek at the same time you throw out the smoke, since the travel time for the smoke is very long. This is a really tricky smoke to hit. Your goal is to place it on top of the wooden beam that goes above the window, although you'll want to have it end up on the left side where enemies will peek from. With this smoke, you'll have a period of time where you'll be able to see a peeking enemy before they're able to see you. It's really useful to get down if you're opping mid. This smoke is slightly tricky to land since there's a small bit you have to hit, or else the smoke falls to the floor. Make sure the majority of the black circle from your targeting reticle is on the wall. Using this smoke is self-explanatory. It'll shut down a rush, and if people still try to push through the smoke, you have the easiest kills available to you. A couple of things about this smoke. Make sure you land it as close to the edge of the wall as possible, and make sure you're standing on top of the metal platform as close to the wall as you can. It'll hide you from enemies trying to push onto C, while you'll be able to see their legs as they push up. You can combine the previous smoke with another smoke on the windowsill on the opposite side of long. This guarantees a full one-way, and good luck to enemies that push through that. Be careful of getting flashed and pre-fired, but with the 2 smokes, you're in a highly defensible position. This is a slightly riskier smoke to use, as you'll be standing in a position where you won't be able to run if the enemies push through long. However, it's good in an econ round or last-ditch scenario where you're trying to cheese some kills out. A good one-way smoke to defend A site from rafters is to smoke off the A main entrance like this. You'll know once you've got the target right when the arrow turns red. Also, make sure you don't aim the smoke too high or too low. If it's too high, you might be visible to attackers. If it's too low, you won't be creating a one-way. For this smoke, if you know someone standing under rafters or afraid of that person, just smoke on top of them and it'll block their vision fully, forcing them to reposition or become sitting ducks. If you're playing from the back of sight, you can hold the entrance from A main with this smoke, or at least safely catch attackers rotating up a ramp. For this smoke, you have to make sure you target the corner of the wall. It can be a bit finicky when doing it for the first time, so you might want to practice it before trying it in a real game. This smoke here is a good one-way you can use while defending ramp. You want to put it on this indent in the wall close to the wall's corner. For this smoke, you'll have a split-second sight advantage on enemies who are pushing up the ramp. However, be careful, because enemies can swing around the corner very quickly and catch you unaware, despite the advantage the smoke gives you. If you get a plant off, you can set up a really good post-plant position with this one-way smoke to catch defenders trying to rotate onto site. Place the smoke on top of the door frame and you'll be able to see anyone running by. This smoke does telegraph your location though, so be careful of enemies pre-firing or flanking you from vents, as you won't have any protection from either. A lot of people like hiding or planting behind the signboard in the middle of a site. If you smoke on top of it while in heaven, they'll either be trapped behind the signboard, which you can wallbang them through, or they'll be vulnerable if they try and run in either direction. If you're pushing onto B site from B main, this smoke blocks vision of enemies at the back of site. You'll be able to see them with relative safety if they try to switch positions. If you're holding heaven from a mid push, this smoke is really useful. You'll be able to see all enemies who try to push you, whereas they won't be able to see you. To execute the smoke, make sure you're aiming on top of the door frame again, but make sure that the black circle on your targeting reticle is slightly faded inside the wall. If not, the smoke will fall right through. Use your movement, W and A, to get it positioned right. If you're holding mid from vents, you can smoke off the B side entrance to mid, disallowing enemies from peeking without risk. Again though, be careful of getting pre-fired, since it's a common spot to defend from. That's all the one-way smokes we have for this video. While there's definitely more one-way smokes in the game that Omen is capable of, these are the ones that we found not to just be the most useful, but the most consistent to execute. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know in the comments which character's one-way smokes you'd like to see next.